Hey, and as promised, we deliver. Bunch of spinoffs.
Thanks, guys. Well, the Cavs Golden State series is finally upon us. And I think we can all agree that the NBA should never again wait 8 days between the conference finals and its showcase event. Not necessarily because it's a momentum killer for the teams, though we may find that to be true if Game 1 is a ragged affair, and certainly not because the delay has driven down anticipation. It hasn't. This matchup is still very appealing on so many levels. The storylines are so good that the drum roll is still audible. Now, the reason there shouldn't be a delay like this ever again is that it gave Cavs fans too much time to consider the storylines that really have nothing to do with what happens between LeBron James and Steph Curry. Like how long it's been since a parade was held in Cleveland. I mean, LeBron can say he appreciates what it means to Northeast Ohio, but it happened, 20 years before he was born? Commenting on a story about the 51-year title drought, Pizza Man asks if the drought is a technicality since, a team that was once the Cleveland Browns became the Baltimore Ravens and won a Super Bowl. I was at the Ravens Super Bowl win when Art Modell did his version of the Super Bowl Shuffle with Ray Lewis. And I can assure you that what I don't remember thinking is, phew, finally, the drought is over. I do remember thinking, break a leg, and not because that's what they say in show business for good luck. Another popular topic this week has been the comparison of the 2007 Cavs with this Cavs team. Again, it's a product of having too much time on our hands. This supporting cast without Kevin Love and with a hobbled Kyrie Irving is still better. How much? I don't know. Crazy Carolina says Kyrie, Thompson, Shumpert, and Smith are all better than anyone in 2007, and that he might throw Mozgov in there as well. Well, this would probably come as a surprise to Zydrunas Ilgauskas and Larry Hughes. But again, why quibble over something that really doesn't much matter? What we do know is that 8 days is certainly long enough for doubt to set in a sports town where the supply of angst is second only to the supply of road salt. Our Maestros writes that we are just being set up for the most epic disappointment of all. He goes on to say it will make the shot, fumble, blah, 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 pale by comparison. Well, that's the spirit. What do they say in those financial investment commercials? Past performance is no guarantee of future results. Well, the same applies here. And lastly, the clinching piece of evidence in my mind that says 8 days is way too long of a layoff between NBA playoff series comes from a username that I can't pronounce, but it's there for you to read. And it says simply, Caitlin is better than Fedor.
That guy doesn't like me.
To which I'd have to agree, Fedor Jenner? Doesn't work for me. Guys?
But I feel like I know what the Super Bowl feels like now.
Doesn't Fedor Jenner sound more like a Tolkien character?
Yeah,
like
I would say
Frodo?
so.
All right, go ahead. What?
I feel like I know what the Super Bowl feels like now. These 8 days off.
Yeah, exactly.
And then it's still going to be like another 2 weeks before we know who wins.
Yeah, at least, right? When's the final day? It can't happen later than... Can it happen later than July 4th?
Yeah, I think
August. It's got to end before next season starts, I think.
Right around my birthday, September 21st, I think.
So to be clear, you're picking what?
I'm picking Cavs in 7. In other words, I have absolutely no idea, so I'm going to pick the team that's got the best player.
Dan?
I got to say this without getting much hate. I'm picking the Cavs. I'm probably going to be wrong.
Wait, what? Wait,
what?
Is that less decisive than Chris or more decisive? I can't tell.
I actually think the Warriors are going to win.
Well,
you are the only Cleveland person that I've come in contact with that actually believes the Warriors are going to win.
Well, I mean, if you're asking for my pick, I'm going to pick
I
the
want
Warriors.
your real pick. I don't want you to placate to the fans.
Then I'm going to take the Warriors in 6.
Don't you guys find it a little bit surprising that there's not much trepidation in this town about this series? You know what I mean?
Yes.
Like, usually people are like, this guy that I mentioned, what's going to go wrong next? Most of the people I talk to think the Cavs are going to win.
Yes.
And some don't think it'll be all that competitive of a series.
Well, I think a lot of the logic, too, comes from, I can't pick against LeBron James, but it's not like LeBron hasn't lost a finals before.
True.
So, I just think the Warriors are a better, deeper team.
I mean, the logic of I can't pick against LeBron James has worked 2 of the last 11 years. So that percentage really isn't in your favor. But Bud, to your point, I feel like people don't watch Golden State. Look, they're on at 10:30. maybe 10:45 certain times. Not a lot of people in Cleveland are going to stay up till 1:15 to watch
True.
an NBA game like the Warriors. And I feel like there's a perception about Golden State that has been built over the last couple of years, and it's not actually who they are. Like, there's this perception that they're not tough and they're not physical. You don't luck your way into the #1 defense in the NBA playing in the Western Conference if you can't be tough and physical. Draymond Green's one of the toughest dudes in the NBA. Andrew Bogut is probably the toughest center in the NBA. But yet there's this perception, because their two best players are guards, that they can't be tough and physical and they can't score inside. And I think it's flawed.
Well, I'll say one thing. The most surprising prediction I've heard this week is yours.
Mine?
Yeah.
Really?
Because you are a guy who spends time watching Golden State.
Right.
And I know you have a lot of respect for them.
I do. I think they're the better team.
That's why I'm surprised.
I think they're the better team, but I think if you get into a Game 7, I think there's one guy in the NBA, and only one guy, and Jordan was like this back in the day, that can shift an entire series in his direction. And it's not Steph Curry, it's not Klay Thompson, it's not Draymond Green, it's LeBron.
And why I agree with you is that we've seen him in the last couple series have games where he didn't play by his standards particularly well and still have that effect on the series.
And that's the thing. He's having an effect right now on all of his teammates. Matthew Dellavedova is playing better than he probably should at this point. Iman Shumpert's all of a sudden making threes. I don't know where that came from. So when you have a guy who's playing at the level that LeBron's playing at and instilling confidence in his teammates the way that he is, that's a dangerous combination.
All right, one last question. We have time for this?
Yeah,
Of course.
let's do it.
I want to give this commenter a fair shake. The guy who was talking about
No.
not that guy.
No, not that guy.
The 2007 team. If you were drafting from the 2007 Cavs and this team today,
Yeah.
do you take either Larry Hughes or Z before you take the guys that he mentioned? I would.
You would take Larry Hughes?
Before I would take Shumpert? Yeah, I would.
If you give me Larry Hughes for that 3 months before he hurt his finger,
Well, okay.
maybe.
But wait, wasn't
But I'm
Larry
just
Hughes-
saying, those Z and Larry Hughes were not, scrub players
Right.
back in the day. That was my point. To say that you would take Shumpert, Thompson, Smith, Mozgov ahead of those two guys, I think is not fair.
But if you think about the team setup back in 2007, couldn't you make the argument that Larry Hughes was the second best player on that team, or he was supposed to be the second best player?
Supposed to
on that
be,
team?
for sure.
So then the comparison is Larry Hughes versus Kyrie, isn't it?
Well, I mean, this guy's claiming that he would take all of those guys I mentioned before he would take anybody on the 2007 team, and that's what I thought was just a little bit overstated. Would you take Mozgov or Z? Are you going to tell me
I'll
Mozgov?
take Z.
I'd take Z.
You said it reluctantly.
I did because of what Mozgov brings to this team and what you need to win a championship.
I
You
think
got to have a
against-
big guy that can protect
And
the
against the Warriors, I'd rather have Z than
rim.
Moscow.
Here we go. Now you're breaking
Right?
down the matchups.
Give me the
Now
guy
you're
that
digging
can
into
actually,
the series.
Give me the guy that can actually step out a little bit.
Well, we could talk about this all the way up till 9 o'clock
Yes.
tonight, but we won't.
They'll
I think
probably
there's
get
some
mad
folks
at
in
us.
that other room that wouldn't be real happy if we did. All right, that'll do it for Sports Insider. Thanks, Mary Kay Cabot, Chris Haynes, and of course Paul Hoynes, Chris Fedor, Bud Shaw, and Dan Lobby. Thanks for watching.